remember to give those to the when we start. Remember to give the microphones to the speakers.
Sorry, by the way, is this live as well? And it is on Hashtag Careers?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
No worries.
Sorry, by the way, is this live as well? And it is on Hashtag Careers?
Yeah. No worries.
Okay, so we start. Thank you very much for coming.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you very much for coming. So here we have a combination of alumni from the past. I would say Alex, you are probably the oldest alumni we have here. I can't remember which year, not in my age, but as an alumni, yes. So Alex is an alumni from our university from before my time, and we're very happy for you to be here today and to continue the relationship with us. They will all have an opportunity to introduce themselves briefly. Some of them I know personally because I've met them in the past 4 years, and we also have 3 people who are not alumni of this university, but we think they have life experience and perhaps they would like to add value to this conversation. One is Pritesh, who gave a talk this morning and had a stand out there, and he is a recent alumnus from another university, University of Birmingham, quite recent, and has very interesting insights as well. And then obviously you saw 2 speakers in the previous session from Java and Asian Society. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask now the panel members to briefly introduce themselves. We're going to kickstart the session with a question, but really this session is for you. So as people introduce themselves, and I'm sure you have lots of questions about what it takes to get where they are today, think about questions perhaps you've got already or questions that come up as a result of the conversation here. That's how we would like you to see it, as a conversation. This is your opportunity to get views from people who've been there, done that. And if we find that we get stuck with questions, we have a list of questions that we can use also to help kickstart that process. So over to you, if you could just briefly introduce yourselves, and we could start with Ting Ting.
Hi everyone, my name is Ting Ting Gong. So I graduated about 4 years ago in 2022. So my major is human resource management, and currently I work for University of Leicester in the international recruitment team and look after the EU and the UK market to help the university to recruit international students. Thank you.
Hi all, I am Pritesh. I would like to consider myself as an honorary alumnus of Ashton University. Technically, we are on a program of Ashton University and West Midlands Combined Authority, so I mean, technically I can be considered a part of Aston. So I am the founder of Students and the Pathfinder organization CIC. Both of them are non-for-profit, both of them are impact organization. I graduated from University of Birmingham in 2022, which feels like a lifetime ago, but it was apparently 3-4 years ago. I have done it all, I guess, in a way. I have worked full-time here, I worked full-time in my home country, I've had a company in my home country, I have 2 organizations here. Any questions you have around that? I'm currently on a global talent visa, so any questions around that? So yeah, I'm going to stop talking now and we'll pass it on.
Thank you, Pritish. Myself, I'm Elvis Rescue. I would say that I've been here in and out for many years. So my first time coming to the university was in 2011, and I don't think I've left, you know what I mean? So I did my first master's in applied linguistics in the School of Languages, and then I moved on to do a PhD also in applied linguistics, and I had work experience. I went back to, I'm originally from Ghana, so I went back to Ghana to be a full-time lecturer in English, and then after 4 years in that role, I moved back to the UK to do MSc in Human Resource Management. So just a senior ahead of me, 1 year ahead of me, and so I did HRM because of career progression and also to position myself for the bigger picture, if I would say so. But in addition to these experiences, at the moment I work at the University of Birmingham as a research fellow. In addition, I have 3 companies I run at the moment in the UK. One is Afro-Caribbean inspired fashion brand Afroganza, and also the same brand has a CIC element where we want to promote education within the creative industry in schools. And then we have a third company that actually is called Global Industry Players Forum, where we intend to organize events for multidisciplinary conversations. Also a very big thank you to Aston University Careers and Placement team. Last year we had 5 interns that worked within our organizations, and it was an amazing experience. And so our doors are open for such opportunities. And of course, I'm also very lucky to see that I'm also on a global talent visa, so open for conversation around that as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Good afternoon, panelists. I'm Harshdeep. I'm from Indian subcontinent, and I have done masters in information system and business analysis from Aston. And I'm currently working as an IT business analyst in a regulatory body called General Dental Council. And I can share you my experience of getting rejected and then accepted. So if that helps, I'm looking forward for this conversation. Thank you.
For those who wasn't here in the first session, my name is Dr. Nasimi, MBE, Nurul Haq Nasimi. I am the founder of the Afghanistan and Central Asian Association, which was founded in 1999 in the southeast of London after my migration to the United Kingdom. Our main aims is to promote integration, British values through educational activities. And I have the opportunity to talk more about the organization in the first session. If there will be more opportunities during the panel discussion, I will be very happy to provide you more information. If you will have any specific question regarding the background of the organization or my personal journey. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Alex, I'm from Birmingham. I did my Masters here in 2020 during the pandemic, which was fun and interesting. I have my undergraduate in psychology, which I did in 2012. And so, yeah, I had a break in between my undergraduate and my master's degree, where I worked as a recruitment consultant for a global recruitment company. I did my master's here in work psychology and business, which I don't actually think they have anymore, but never mind. And so for the past 6 years, I have become a qualified business psychologist. I now work for a different global recruitment and talent solutions company specialising at the minute in executive and leadership assessment for selection purposes as well as leadership development, and work largely with public sector organisations, so central government, local government, lots of different sorts of clients. So very open to any questions around my career, obviously doing a master's a little bit later, anything at all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Nishtha and I did my Masters at Aston University in Marketing and Strategy in the year 2020, September intake. So I've been graduated for about 2.5, 3 years now, and it feels much longer. I also did my undergraduation in 2016, so had like a 2-year break where I pursued marketing because I'm of a creative bent of mind, so my mind works differently. And I started my career here in the UK on a graduate leadership program. So any of you who have questions around graduate schemes that multiple companies offers, I would be more than happy to answer that. I'm off my scheme now. I work in the procurement and contract management team within the energy department. So my team buys all the energy that my company uses. We have about 7,000 sites, so you can only imagine the volume of energy that we buy every day in a way. And that's pretty much about me.
So, good afternoon everyone. I'm Darius Nasimi, also from the Afghanistan and Central Asian Association, which is an award-winning charity helping refugees, ethnic minorities, asylum seekers and migrants here in the UK. I'm 27 years old. I came to the UK with my family in 1999 as a 4-month-old child fleeing conflict in Afghanistan, and the main aim of the organisation that I work for is helping Afghan, Central Asian, Iranian and the Persian speaking world with integration into the UK society. And my role in the charity is helping with fundraising and income generation. So much like Nishtha, I work in terms of raising money for the organisation by applying for grants or contracts from local authorities, from the UK government, and also from British trusts and foundations. And thank you to Arushi and Sarah for organising this great event today. Thank you.
Darius, would be okay if we start with the first question on the list of questions that you have there, and then we can open it to our students.
I think I'll start off with a simple and straightforward question. Is there anything you wish you had focused on more during your university life and degree?
So for me, I would say the thing which I would have differently is having more mock interviews, because initially I had this understanding that I'll go for the final take, I don't need practice and all of those things, but that actually doesn't help me for my ability to understand rejection, because I'm getting rejected, and making sure Peggy knows it, right? Going to Peggy's for mock interviews, and which helped me a lot. So initially I was not accepting that, and if I have to do this differently, I'll go for mock interviews, because I feel preparing first and then go for a performance helps. So that's the thing I would have do differently. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
I think similar to that, I would say also preparing for graduate assessment centres and things like that, and obviously now working in assessment and having designed some of the graduate assessment centres, the consultancies and things like that. I think I prepared for interviews and was good at interviews, but didn't get any of the grad schemes that I applied for, any of the internships at my undergraduate level, because didn't prepare for things like psychometrics, the types of exercises that you do at assessment centres, things like, you know, video interviews and all these sorts of, like, loads of different methods, gamified assessments, all of these different things. So yeah, I think it's equally about preparation, but I think more from an assessment point of view. And again, I say this is now having designed them, then yeah, I think definitely preparation.
Yeah, thank you. I would say now, what I know now, if I know then when I was a student, I mean, I'm a very social person, so I went to so many university events like this, but what I would have done differently now was to network intentionally. So making sure when I arrive at a space, I know why I'm there and what I'm bringing on the table and what others can bring to my table. And I made reference to, for instance, I was in London for a networking event in November, and within the conversation, we ended up being on London Fashion Week 2 weeks ago, just out of conversation. And for the first time, Afroganza, which is my fashion brand, appeared in London Fashion Week. So it simply means that being at the right place, being networking intentionally, also know what value we are bringing to the context we are networking in.
Well, for me, I studied at King's College. I studied philosophy. I think, thinking about it now, I wouldn't have studied philosophy. I probably would have studied something combining philosophy with another subject, like law or politics or international relations. But I agree, I think networking, there's so many people within the university who can help with your future career. Don't just come here and then go home, but also spend time on meeting people. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to add something that is, I don't know, kind of existential, but I think realizing sooner that nobody cares, I mean, in a good way, where you are okay to make mistakes, you're okay to reach out to people, you're okay to be rejected. And I think that kind of taught me a lot when I was studying, from applying to opportunities or, you know, raising my hand in the class, wondering what people would think. And I think that is, I think that's probably an existential problem, but that kind of helped, and I wish I had that sorted when I was in university, because everyone is worried about themselves. They do not care about you. So yeah, apply to that job, reach out to that person, raise your hand and ask questions. That applies here as well. Yeah, nobody cares, and that's a good thing.
Shall we move to the second question?
So we see that, are there any questions from the audience yet? Okay.
I have a question, and it's to the entire panel, but specifically to Alex.
Sorry, I have a question. It's specifically to Alex, but maybe open to the entire panel. Gamified assessments. So, after my undergrad, something that definitely killed my confidence was just failing at every gamified assessment that I attempted. Eventually I did get into a big company, and I worked with them, but never made it. But they didn't have a gamified assessment for me to pass through, so I got it through the general interview session. So you were saying about preparing for these assessments. How do you do that? Then, especially now that you designed them, what do we do?
Enunciate. I would say, I did mention gamified assessments. I don't know whether it's reassuring to everyone. I do think the appeal of them has slightly diminished now. So there was a lot of work, I'm trying to think how many years ago we did this. I think essentially in anything like assessment, there is essentially trends. And so the current trend is skills-based hiring. And everyone's talking about skills-based hiring and developing your skills and that sort of thing. Whereas a couple of years ago it was competency-based hiring, and a few years before that it was behavioural-based hiring. But if you actually think about the definition of competency versus a behaviour versus a skill, they're all kind of doing the same thing. I think the gamified assessments was essentially a trend in terms of just making things more interesting and more engaging for candidates, but the science behind them was always a little bit questionable. So for example, I know that PwC used to use gamified assessments and they used to use them to make decisions in terms of selecting people in or out. They don't do that anymore. And the company that they actually use, which I won't name, the company that they use to do that now have moved away from the gamified assessments and moved towards skills-based. So in terms of, coming back to your original question, sorry, in terms of preparation, I would say there's loads of really good resources online, all of the big like test publishers, so like SHL, Savile, etc. They all have resources online that you can prepare for. And I would say I think that the less face valid assessments, so things like the gamified ones, or equally, you know, the left field interview questions, like if you were on a desert island, what would you bring? Those sorts of things, luckily, are moving away now because the evidence behind them is just not that legit, essentially. So hopefully that's reassuring for people in the room.
I just wanted to ask a question because I know that we have lots of international students in the audience and even international alumni as well. For international alumni, what strategies helped you navigate job applications or visa-related challenges?
So for me, before I study Austin, so my goal is very clear actually. I just want to use 1 year masters and settle down in the UK. And obviously for international student, we do have a big challenge, language challenge, culture different challenge. So my strategy is I just start early. And obviously, if you want to find a job in the UK, and basically it's very different than you find a job in your home country, and you really need to understand what's the UK recruitment process it is. So very luckily, and our career team is really good. I'm not come here to sell our career team, but they are really, really helpful. And my first door is Peggy. Seriously, I went to see her a lot, and she probably sick to see my face sometimes. And she helped me to do my, big CV. I think I CV I did brilliantly. But when I bring to her, she gave me a lot of, very, very good advice, how to change it. Obviously, the CV, I think it's good because that's in my mindset. That's when I apply for a job in China, not when I apply for a job in the UK. But UK standard is quite different than the back, to my hometown. So that's why I'm really grateful. So we have a really decent career team. And also, don't be afraid of fail as well. So I know one of my peers, she got rejected 60 times in the UK, but finally, and she got a really, really decent job in the UK. So I don't be afraid to fail. And also, even to start to look for settle down in the UK or find a job in the UK, you need to start early. As soon as you start your courses, obviously you have to focus the course, but also start your job application early and ask advice from our career team as well. Yeah, thank you.
I would like to say, I think the best strategy is to stay curious, stay hungry. The more questions you ask, the more you'll find out. I had no idea about a global talent visa until one of my friends from the same cohort, who was an MBA graduate, got it. And I was mind blown as to the fact that now this person will not have to look for another sponsor for the rest of his time in the UK. Had I been more curious and stayed more hungry, I would have found out that information. And very rightly, as Tintin pointed out, start early, because I know everyone says this early bird catches the worm, but that is the goal. I personally started applications in October. I had only been here about 32 days when I started. Applied to over 150 to 200. 150 is how many companies I tracked, and then I got tired of tracking, so I stopped tracking. But starting early helped me get a job. Then it got taken away, then I got it back. But because I started early, I had all that time to then convert my offer to a final position. And I never started on a PSW visa. I went from a Tier 4 visa to a sponsored visa, which a lot of people in my cohort were scrunching for. So I think, yes, starting early is a very good shout as well. But being curious and being hungry to find out more information is going to go a long way, because you can only find out things that you research about. Your friends can tell you things, and of course Peggy and the team is going to guide you, but the more things you find out, the better position you're in.
I'd like to add something there. From the practical side of things, I think I mentioned that in the talk that I gave this morning. Identifying a sector, identifying that sector early, and building your skills according to the needs of the sector would really help, because you will be, one, building your skills according to that sector, building a network according to that sector, and also building your knowledge according to that sector. So it's relevant for international students, but it's relevant for everyone. From the mindset side of things, I think unfortunately this is something that I've realized recently working with closely with a lot of international students. I think we take being an international as a liability. I think that needs to change. I think we need to, because as long as we consider it as a liability, when we are sharing it with others, they will see it as a negative thing. I think changing that mindset and thinking about all the things that you bring in, thinking about all the incredible value that you bring in is very important. And and it's easier said than done, it is going to take a lot of time. All the rejections are going to hamper that confidence. But once you get that right, when you're talking to that employer, when you're sitting in that interview, they will see that confidence. They will see that this person is bringing so much value to this organization. Why shouldn't we hire them? And one last thing, I would recommend, and this is again a personal recommendation, but starting your journey or your career journey with a relatively smaller organization is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. In fact, I would actually recommend, because the amount of value that you'll be able to add there can easily be tracked. And if you become irreplaceable, I've known my founder friends, a lot of them have actually got licensed to sponsor someone because they could not imagine their organization with that person. And that probably would be less likely if you're applying to an organization like PwC or HSBC, because they'll easily find a replacement for you. So starting there could be a good thing. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just also add, like, starting early is important, and in addition, everything that one needs to progress is either online or is with somebody. And so we should use all the university and external resources that will enable us to know more. And I would just want to add, like you did mention about over 100 applications, right? Doing those kind of applications, it's imperative. Like I was speaking with a career advisor, and they said looking for a job is a job in itself. So knowing that I'm looking for a job and I'm going to take it as a job. So you track all your applications. I remember many times I did recruitment and operations. You call somebody, you mention the name of the organization. Oh, have I applied for this job? Or what role did I apply for? That alone is one step failing the interview. So we knowing that someone called and mentioned the organization, Ashton University, oh yes, then you know you applied for this particular job. When you apply for it, you jump on the system, you have an Excel spreadsheet. All those things could be a very painstaking process, but able to know what role you apply for in which organization will even make you more aware as to how much success you are making. So being intentional in our job applications, and also try. I remember when I was going to try the Global Talent Visa, honestly, number one, I haven't known anyone who had it before, and I don't know much about it, but I had to reach out to the university, and at the university here, all the alumni would attest to that. Everybody is really there to help. And so just ask and you would have any help you need. So let's be intentional when we are looking for a job, and let's start early.
Yeah, so I would say that 3 of the 4 or 5, 6 panelists have said that try earlier, and which is I'm also saying try earlier, because as in student coming from India, we have just after graduation we have 2 years to find jobs, right? And I've started quite earlier. So, and don't try to apply impulsive, because what people do and what they used to do is try impulsive, like apply. From every unsuccessful mail you get, like you're not successful. Try to understand what happened wrong. I mean, just not crib about it. But try to understand what happened wrong and rectify your CV according to that. It's just know that people. I've known people just applying impulsively and said I'm applying, but I'm not getting any response. But what you have done, you have changed your CV. Have you done something which was not there earlier? So try to understand, analyze why you're getting unsuccessful. Talk to Peggy, and then you'll get better. And as I said, apply earlier. Thanks.
I'll pay them later.
Any more questions from?
Could you please know how to apply for the global talent visa? What are the requirements?
Oh, I think I'll relate it to my own personal journey. I did mention about my journey. So I had a background in linguistics, so master's and PhD in linguistics. I also taught at the university for 4 years. I also have decent track record of publications, and also came and upskilled in human resource management. And so in my application, I need to be honest, and because she would say same, anyone who had tried, that was the hardest essay I wrote aside my PhD thesis. Because the information need to be dense, you need to convince the panel that you are a global talent, and the fact that the key word is significant contribution to the British society. And so we have to think about all the journey and why staying here would be relevant to the society and of course for yourself as a person. So I think the narrative was about demonstrating that even from linguistics to HRM, people were wondering why that transition, because in many ways they are not related. But in recent time, I started thinking about how related they are. Okay, so in many ways, trying to create a narrative that is convincing, also evidence-based, also not lying. You can't lie on it because they check so many things externally of your application. And I would also recommend making ourselves very strong and visible online, professionally. Given this opportunity we have today, take photos and comment on it, put it on your social media handles. It shows that you are engaged with the community, with the society more broadly. So, and also one key area is also having someone who knows you very well and who can vouch that you have the experience or all that you have described in that essay that can enable you to get the endorsement. Because there's two stages: you get the endorsement before you apply for the visa. So knowing ourselves is part of the whole process.
I will give an objective answer first. So the global talent visa is divided into 3 pillars. The first one is culture. So anything that you have published as a writer, if you are an artist, a singer, anything related to that. Then the second pillar is academics. So anything you've done in research, anything that you've done with the university. And the third pillar is tech. So your background in tech, what you have done in tech. So all 3 of these pillars will have different endorsing bodies. So in terms of the how it works, you get an endorsement from an endorsing body and then you apply to the UKVI. So I got the tech one. I don't have a tech background. I have a background in commercializing tech. And that is again something that you need to realize, where on that endorsing body's website you'll have all the information, what they need from you. My application was 69 pages long. It is the most I've written ever in my life. It is probably the most I'll ever write in my life. I aged 10 years in those 3 months. So that is again something that I think I had this conversation with a lot of international students today, where you have to recognize the opportunity cost of doing something. So applying to jobs has opportunity cost of starting something of your own. Doing a part-time has opportunity cost of applying to full-time roles. Applying to a global talent visa has opportunity cost of maybe applying for a full-time role. So you have to recognize where you stand, where you want to give your 100%, because you can't have multiple things parallelly going on, because if you're applying for jobs, you're applying for global talent visa, you are doing a part-time and probably doing something in your home country as well, you probably won't be able to do any of it. So I would recommend finding out early. I think this is the theme of the day. Everything needs to be recognized as early as possible, and you need to make that decision as early as possible. And once you know that you want to go forward with global talent, then make sure you have 3-4 months worth of rent already with you, because you probably won't be able to concentrate on anything else during that phase. Don't want to scare you, it is possible. I am an example, he's an example that it is possible to get, but it's just exhausting, and sometimes I wonder, was it worth it? But yeah, happy to answer any further questions after this conversation.
Thank you. There were more questions, I believe, over there.
Yeah, so my question is for all of you. What would be your single biggest regret that you would kill to go back in time and change? Just one decision.
Many regrets already.
Just one, just big one.
Biggest one. Who wants to take that?
There should be no regrets, there should only be redirection. I'm sorry, it's a very generic answer, but I don't think I'd be able to change anything, because today when I look back at everything that did happen, I can attach a reason and a meaning to it. And what I tell myself is that I can just learn from the process instead of holding it grudgefully to my heart, because it's not worth it, personally.
Yeah, so I would say that, as she said, that there should be no regret. But I mean, we are human, we are trying to attach those things. But I would say that if you believe in a process, if anything goes wrong, that's fine. If you're working hard, you're doing the right things, even the result is not what you expect. You should be believing in a process, and that's fine. If that's there, it's all your intention is there, regret won't happen, trust me. Yeah, that's my experience.
It's for all of us to need to answer. It's relatable. I mean, immediately you said, it struck me to say, I mean, even the failures are the biggest things that I really link to all the time. Even in the lowest moments, multiple tasks, trying to be a starting CEO and also trying to do a full-time job, it's all hard. But I think that over the years, even my journey, even though it has been like this, it's also is the very foundation that made me who I am. So there are no regrets. So I think anything that happened did not happen to me, but happened for me, if you can put it that way.
I do have an actual regret. When I finished this is really specific, when I finished my undergraduate degree in 2015, I sold my big research methods in psychology book because I hated it and I wanted to purge my life of it, and I thought I'm never going to go back to uni. And then came back 5 years later and that book was like £150. I probably could have done with it for my first job in consultancy. So that is an actual regret that I wish I would have sold that book.
I have two regrets. The first is maybe not studying philosophy. But then again, that was the only available course for me at the time to study at King's College. And the second regret is attending lectures more and going to seminars. I think now you have to show that you've attended a lecture, but back in 2017 to 2020, there was no tapping option. So,
I think there were some more questions.
My question is to all the parents, since we are talking about starting early today. So my question is like, how early someone could start when they are into the master's program? And another point is like looking at it from the employer's point of view. Like when you look at the CVs of the employees that are applying, so how early you would like to take them into their program? So basically, if any student have like 7 to 8 months still in their program remaining, as an employer would be willing to hire them now for the future later. So then how come applying early becomes then a good option? So aren't we just wasting time over there? Because on the CV most of these days nowadays, all the employers don't give a specific feedback on why you have been rejected. You just get an email that you have been rejected. So we don't know exactly where we have gone wrong and what we need to change regarding it. So isn't it better to apply in the later stages when, like, let's say you have 2 or 3 months in your program left, prepare well, do the mock test and mock interviews, and then apply for in the last couple of months. So employers also have a clarity that in the next coming 2 months the student will be out of the program and he can start with us immediately.
So I'm going to give you my example. I'm a 2023 intake, January intake, and I started applying from July. So that is not for getting a job, that's for preparation. Because initially when I looked at my CV, it was quite vague. It was not the CV that actually you wanted. And nowadays ATS is also. So that's for preparation. And there are like hundreds of jobs, you need just one. Just one job you need. So if you keep on applying from as early, so you will get to know what the process is, you get rejection, and that's builds in an intensity to work harder, work smarter. So yeah, I've applied many times and went to Peggy that this is not working, though it was quite early. But trust me, I gave my first internship, I didn't go through it. I mean, I get out in the final stage, but the opportunity was there. And it was on July. Aon Consultancy is a very good firm. And so every action is not for just for getting the outcome, it's for preparation as well. So just get the process, just get the hunger of it that okay, I'll do this, I'll do that. That's fine, you have time. But if you start early, then you have time. When you reach there, then you don't have time to prepare.
Is it working? Yes. So I would like to balance what has been shared by the panel. I did not apply early. In fact, I did not apply until I graduated. And I'll tell you why. Because very early I realized that it is a very exhausting process. And I think it has been mentioned earlier that applying to jobs is a job in itself. And that definitely hinders with your experience at the university. So I knew my peers who were applying constantly, they were not feeling great about themselves because they were rejected, and because of that they were not engaged with the university, they were not engaged with the classroom, and that automatically just creates a snowball effect where it just does not work out. So I instead what I did was I got involved in a lot of things on campus. I built experience, and again I built that experience because I wanted to experience being a student one last time, and not because I wanted to get a job, but that automatically created circumstances where I found a job through that process. So the company project that I was part of as an alternative to my dissertation was where I got my first offer as an intern. I did not apply there. They just saw my work, and because I had time and energy to give my all to that project, they saw what I could bring to the table. And my viewers were busy, and I'm not dissing them. I could understand what they were going through, and I mean, it's absolutely fine. But because I had the energy and the time, and probably the will as well to contribute, that resulted in an internship, and that eventually became a full-time job. So. I would say whatever opportunity you get, just give your 100%, and if you can show people your value, why wouldn't they hire you? It's just when you get that opportunity, do not squander that in thinking, oh, I could get that as well and that as well, and I should apply there, and it could be overwhelming. So I would say this is probably for a lot of you the last time you'll be students in life. So do not miss out on that aspect. Do not miss out on classes, do not miss out on all the amazing festivities that happen on campus, and you'll get a job. You'll eventually get a job. Everyone gets a job. There are enough jobs for incredible people like you. The fact that you are in this room, you are hungry, you want to know. You are in one of the best business schools, so you will get a job. It's just that how much are you going to suffer in order to get that. But yeah, all the best. That's all I can say.
Well, also, I think trying out something new. I mean, after university, I studied philosophy, but then I pursued a career in politics. I stood as the first British Afghan Conservative candidate in the 2022 local elections. So have the willingness to try new things. University and what you study doesn't necessarily mean that you have to enter into that career, and be open to different options. Yeah.
I'll answer very briefly. I know everyone's talking about applying early and then going for it. If you haven't started yet, it's okay. It's only now that your courses, are you a September intake?
Yeah.
Yes, so it's only now that your classes will finish sometime in April, and then you have a dissertation period. You can go all out in that. The benefit that applying early brings to the table is that when I was applying early, I was applying for everything. It wasn't a targeted approach, it was mass applications. But as and when time passed and I realized now I have fewer months, I started targeting my applications to the roles and the companies that I wanted, and specifically to the ones that could potentially sponsor me, because I wanted a sponsorship to stay back in the country. It's good to apply early, like Rishi mentioned, but at the same time, if you're missing out, because it's sad when you wake up to a rejection email every day. It's sad. I've opened up to sometimes 3-4 a day. Like I would open my laptop, 3 emails, all rejections. Part of the process, you will pass that hurdle. But if you haven't started applying early, don't look at doing mass applications now. Look at doing very targeted applications and be very clear on what is your end goal and what are you working towards. For the second part of your question, when an employer looks that a student has 8 more months left, they might get iffy about not picking you. In my personal experience, whatever I have gone through here, I don't think that's the case, because from what I have also gathered culturally is that people or recruiters in the UK start recruiting way in advance than they did back in India, because sometimes in India you can really switch jobs within the month if that is a possibility. Here is one thing I've realized is that the processes are slower in comparison, in fact, and it's not a 2-month or a 3-month process. So if you're applying 6 months in advance and you're still in education, that's great. I got my job when I still had 6 months of uni left. It got taken away from me. That's a different story. I will get to that later if anyone's interested. But because I had time, I got that job back, and they waited for me to come out of education so that I could work 40 hours a week. So I did not really start with the other graduates. They started in September. I started somewhere mid-October because I was still in education. So if there are too many months, I think that's fine. You can start.
So looking at the time is 15 hours. It's 3 o'clock. So the meeting is supposed to finish by 3.
No, it's not.
No?
No, we have at least half an hour left.
Half an hour?
Yes, we started the podcast, yes.
Sorry.
Do you want to continue or do you want to do questions?
No, I was originally the moderator. Since I'm very specific and I won't give people more than 1 minute, that's why I was asking Darius, because young people, they have more tolerance and patience. Listening to the conversation, I was very quiet. I thought maybe I can give some feedback at the end of the event. But I think that now, since I have the microphone, maybe I can share some of the experience from my lead experience that I have for the past 27 years running the grassroots organization, especially for young people, which I touched during the first session. Work experience is very, very important. During the work experience, you will have the opportunities for often communication with the people. While you're a student, you just read the book, you meet some of the students during the lecture, and then you go home. But during the internship, you make friends, yeah? Then you can work together on this specific task. Sometimes the task cannot be done by yourself. Unlike, comparing the coursework you're doing at university. In the coursework, you're not allowed to cheat. Yeah. But working as a team, during the work experience, of course you can work as a team to focus on certain project. Communication, networking, yeah? And then organizing events by yourself, independently. Small workshops, yeah? Small maybe training courses. Yeah. Identifying the needs of the people, especially the weaknesses. Because we all been human, and every human, they have the strengths and weaknesses. Then, by looking the strength, then we have to try our best how we can improve the weaknesses to make sure we will have a better, stronger future and achieve what we are looking for in our life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more questions? Oh, I'll pass you the mic.
Hi everyone. So thank you for your contributions so far. It's been very insightful. I think my question is that we've had a lot of conversation about starting early, and personally for me that was a bit of a wake-up call as well, because I did start initially, but just adjusting and everything, it did kind of fall behind. But my thing is that obviously these graduate programs, for example, EY, PwC, they start in early September. So after that, and there's this conception, personally for me as well, that if these graduate programs just run from September to November, but after that, for example, I did apply to those and I didn't get selected, for example. What are the type of roles that I should apply to? How many roles are there for graduate people? And especially with life getting harder for internationals, with some new lovely legislations that have just passed as well. How do you think is the best strategy to approach, especially if someone wants to find a sponsored job or go on to a global talent visa, which will give them more time in the country essentially? So yeah, I would just like your 2 cents on it, I guess.
I agree with you. I think the Home Secretary's position or policy today, they banned they've planned to stop giving student and skilled worker visas for 4 countries, which includes Afghanistan, Sudan, and I think Cameroon, which is very tragic news for those people. But I'm not an international student, but my colleague is, and what she has told me in the office is you can search for companies that sponsor, maybe target those. Target by industry. There are certain skills gaps in the UK, and then you can then tailor your search based on that, if your qualifications are eligible. And I think the third is also look for not just companies or NGOs, but the UK civil service, the government and the NHS, they also provide some sponsorship opportunities.
I think you mentioned around graduate and early careers programs essentially. I think I would just say that cycle is cyclical, so that does run for a set period of time, and pretty much most of them will run that process of kind of taking applications around summer up till October, November, and then running their assessment and recruitment processes until about now. So from one of my clients, we've just finished all of their assessment centres and they go to offer. But they do then have reserve lists, essentially, so there is still quite a big reserve pool of people, because people will drop out, get other roles, etc. And then they also do mop-up hires, for lack of a better phrase. So yeah, it does run a cycle. So if there are any particular companies that you are really, really passionate about, really interested in, make sure that you are knowledgeable about when those application windows are. But also I would say a lot of them now, they do like graduate schemes, so for undergraduate and masters, but they also do internships, degree apprentices. There's so many different types of scheme now that I would also say be open-minded to that. So it might be that you want, you know, a full-time role, depending on your own personal circumstances, but actually, you know, is there an internship that, you know, could get that foot in the door, that then you could get a permanent role there? So yeah, I think that the scheme side of things is a little bit different because it is a little bit more fixed. So if there are any specific companies that you're really interested in, then yeah, make sure that you do your research so you know when those windows are.
Sorry.
Yeah, just in relation to the questions regarding starting early, one thing that also came to mind is about even the mindset with which we apply for the jobs. Even when I had my interns, thankfully the careers and placement team did most of the shortlisting, and then they passed on to my company, and then we did internal interviews. But all those who got onto the internship program with us, it's just 3 months, right? So it's also not a big deal in the sense that it's for academic purpose, but all those who got onto the internship program with us is because they had the mindset, in quote and unquote, of a CEO. So I see beyond the fact that they are students, but they are people who they have the passion for the role. You know, so for instance, when I have anyone, regardless of what level they enter the company, I have the mindset that they are potential CEOs, or they are CEOs in their own right. So I think approaching even the job market as though the job I'm applying for is mine, my business is my job, also even comes across during interviews. You know, even the way we dress the interview, if it's an internship opportunity and you just dress in a t-shirt and you sit down and iron, or the person can see, but you never know that internship could translate into a full-time job. So what I could say, starting early is important. Also taking the internship as though it's a full-time job. And when I finished my HR job and my studies, I did an internship in a hospitality and recruitment agency. I was working with them on the field first, and I had an opportunity to do internship in the office. So I saw the business in and out. But I took the internship in the office as though it was a full-time job. I dressed nicely, all the time, and making it look like they should know, to the extent that they allowed me to go to their business trip in Portugal, which was nice. So let's take our internship. Even if you are working front of house in this beautiful hotel, and there are so many ASEAN students I see around, and I talk to them, and I can see their ambition because I've been on that path. Let's take the front of house role in the UK. What I love about the country is the respect for any job, because in front of house role you learn interpersonal skills, communication skills, maybe problem solving, all these technical skills. So starting early, also taking every role as though that is the ultimate role you have, and with that mindset as a CEO, you can be able to get far in the job market.
I'm going to quickly share a resource. So there's a website called Startup Mag UK, if you want to search it on your phone. It's a really good resource because it has access to all the startups that have recently been funded. And these are organizations who have money, but they do not have the, I would say, leverage in the market to attract talented people, but you already know that they are there. So applying to these organizations, relatively smaller organizations with money to hire people is a good way, because then you will be growing with the organization, and if you want a sponsored job, I think that is probably the best way. So it kind of reiterates the thing that I said.
Can you repeat that name again?
It's called Startup Mag UK, and they have a resource. Like it's a database of all the startups that have been funded recently. Because they're divided into regions, they're divided into sectors. So it's a really good resource, and yeah, feel free to use it.
I just want to add a quick note. I just want to ask, so how many master students who are still here? Yeah, so for master student, I suggest, so I get this idea from Peggy, you don't need all the graduate schemes. So graduate schemes, because maybe some of you already have experience, graduate scheme maybe can be very competitive because you got experience, and the graduate scheme, the recruitment cycle can be a whole year long as well. and sometimes can be very stressful to to prepare the whole process. So you don't need to all go to the graduate scheme. So I shared early, start early because so because my team is recruiting right now, so it's a three perspective I'm looking for. Is working experience, are you relative to match or not? And the skills, for example, do you have some presentation skills, Excel skills, and can you use pivot table, these kind of things? And the last one is attitude. So, for example, if that's the job you would like to apply, and you apply early, and so most of the time you get rejected, and the employer had to give you feedback. So you understand, is that because my experience they didn't hire me, or because my skills, is a skill gap, didn't hire me. So you will have time to navigate yourself to progress. So one job I applied, in a very good organization, I didn't get because my skill doesn't really fit. Because in the panel, they asked me to do the Excel's pivot table, and obviously I'm not really good at that. So that's why I failed. So that's why I learned, you get rejected, you get feedback, and you give yourself some time to learn the skills. And when you graduate, you will be well prepared, and you are more likely compare others to be successful.
I think there was a question there.
Hi. It's very valuable insights what we're all getting as a master's students here. So I have one question particularly for an interview. So what was the toughest interview question and how did you overcome it? And if you can share what the question was and what the answer you gave, which made the interviewer smile, which it will add some value to us.
Because I have Mac, I can share that. So I attended 10 interviews. 9 out of them asked what's your communication skills, and I didn't know how to answer it at the beginning because in China, when I applied for jobs in China, they never asked me that communication skills. But when you work in the UK team, you understand communication is very important. So again, when I prepared my interview, I asked the career team. So Peggy told me you have to do STAR, like situation, this kind of things, so you can prepare the questions. Yeah, and also you need to give very, very good examples to show how can you use your communication skill to solve the problems. I think a lot of employers really, really, want to see how do your communication skills to make you work very efficiently when you work in the UK team. Seriously, I've been to a lot of interviews and 9 of them asked my communication skills. I have been work a lot on this question a lot. Yeah, thank you.
So this is also depend.
Yes.
Yes, on the personal ambition. For example, I sent a number of emails to the Prime Minister asking for his support to become the next United Nations Secretary General, to change the concept of the United Nations from electing someone who was the former president, former prime minister, and then becoming the United Nations Secretary General. Then I realized that this is too big ambitions. Yeah. So when you mention about whether the panel submitted any application in their life and how was the outcome, yes, of course not always you receive a positive reply from the employers unless you meet the criteria of the employers. Thank you.
I haven't been asked a particularly tricky question, but I do think a hard question that you'll always be asked is like, why do you want the job? Or why do you want to work for them? And I think that's something, as an assessor, that we see that people fall down on because they haven't really thought about it. Or it's a really rehearsed answer, or it's because I want, because I want, because I want, because I want, as opposed to because I want this and I'll give this. So I think, yeah, my advice would just be to really think about those like motivational questions. Why is it specifically? It doesn't have to be kind of war and peace about, you know, very fake, essentially. But I think just really think about, even if it's just one thing, like one thing about that job that you really, really, really want, and what you will give in return as well. But I think those questions sometimes can be just quite hard to answer, and yeah.
I mean, it's not a hard question, but I believe it's probably one of the most important question, which is, do you have any questions for us? Because that is usually the last thing that you share with them, you ask them, and that shows that you have researched about them, about the family. So I would recommend always have a question and do not just ask, how is your day? I mean that's a good question, but I would say research people. It's usually been on 100 plus interview panels, and you have to understand the people interviewing you are human beings, and if they like someone, they will forget about the small things that do not fit. If they like working with you, if they like interacting with you, so you have to show them that you've done your research, you'll be a good colleague, and just give that last question. That is the last thing that will remember you first. So just that's your time to shine. So yeah, think about it.
I want to add something to that. A really good question that can everyone hear me? I have asked in the past, and have had people ask me, and I interview a lot, is do you have any immediate concerns about my suitability for this role? Because if you are interviewing with someone and obviously you're answering the questions, they might have a little thought in the back of their head around, I'm not sure about this. If you ask them in the moment, I've done my interview now, do you have any immediate concerns as to why I'm not suitable or why I'm not the right person? And they can articulate that. That gives you the opportunity in the moment to squash that, so that they leave and they don't have that. So that would be a question that you could ask that would be good.
I would just like to add one final thing before. Values of the company. They will definitely link a lot of their questions to the values. So it wasn't like a particularly hard question that was asked to me. During one of my technical rounds, I was asked to provide an example of what I did to satisfy that particular skill set and how I can tie that to a value. Now both of these don't have any connection, because the value is taking care and the skill set is Excel, or let's say contract management. But you have to find a way or an example where you satisfy both of these criteria. And I've realized that finding a gap in what the company is doing and how you can fill that gap turns out to be very beneficial.
I haven't applied for that many jobs, I'll be honest, because of the ACAA. But after the election in 2022, I applied for a job in a public relations company, PR, in central London. And that was my first experience in terms of applying for employment. And what I didn't expect was a written task. So be prepared for a written task, I think would be some advice, because that's, answering questions is one thing, but then being asked to write, 500 words about something or answer questions is within a 30-minute deadline. No phones allowed is another thing. So prepare for written tasks.
It's a quick one also in relation to how to respond positively to a question on what is your weakness. That is a tricky question that can flop the entire interview, because sometimes how to also carve the weakness in a positive lens. So we do have a lot of generic responses like I pay a lot of attention to detail. It's a two-edged sword. It means that you spend too much time, business time, doing one task, but that can be translated, meaning that you have more time to do things, but you are learning how to balance paying attention to detail. And so how to respond to what is your weakness question during interviews could be a tricky one.
The only thing I would add on that as well, I think for a lot of kind of early careers, emerging talent, whatever language you want to use, really what they're looking for is potential, and particularly around like, can you learn? So I think just with any interview question, you answer really. There's the STAR technique, the STAR. They've updated it now. I think the civil service, so it's got the E on the end, which is evaluation. So I think just with all the examples that you might prepare for, rehearse, for your different areas like you recommended, include that evaluation. What did you learn? What would you do differently? What went really well? And I'd just really encourage you to always get that across as well, because that's ultimately, even where your answer, your example might not be the best fit for the question, but if you can nail that bit at the end around what you learned, then I think that would be, that's something to look for as well.
Harsh?
Yeah, I can go with this one.
Sorry.
I don't have any funny experience though, but I would say, I do Alex what Alex said, that they're not looking for perfection, not at all. They're just looking, they can train anyone. They're just looking for someone who can articulate their thoughts clearly and are accountable. I mean, that's the case for me. I mean, because what I have seen, they're just seeing that can you speak clearly in a manner that it can explain things about your CV, what's written in CV. So also, every time, each line, if you are writing in CV, just make sure that you know each line. Because I have noticed and been through that some, initially, that's what I said, preparation. You mentioned by this, start early. Then you know that, okay, I've written this line in CV, but I don't know the meaning of this. Probably written to ChatGPT or something else, somewhere else. So you know that's where preparation comes in. Understand each thing in CV, and then you make sure that you're doing justifying what's written in CV. So yeah, that would be my suggestion.
You had a question?
One point I forgot to mention is, because I take lots of interviews in the office, know what you're applying for. I've come across so many people who they don't know what job they've applied for, or I don't know why they attended the interview. But before going, make sure you've read the job description, you know about the organisation you've applied for, you know what job you've applied for. Yeah.
We have a question here.
So hello everyone. So thank you for sharing with us your experiences and backgrounds. So I have a quick question. So if we wanted to create our own opportunities here in the UK as an international student, so first, is it possible? And second, if yes, so what makes the UK a good place to start a company today?
Okay. Well, not to sound political, but I think UK is also the land of opportunities, if I would say so. US is always said to be the land of opportunities. But then I also say so for the UK in the sense that I've just set up 3 companies. Thankfully, all of them on different stages of their growth. But I also think that there are so many support systems, even from within the university, like the BCM program, which really can position someone to have their own business. One of the things I serve as a dragon on one of the enterprise program, and the students have really fascinating business ideas. So I think having to start early, which is the slogan for today. Also making friends with people strategically, I know it's very nice to just go to Gosta maybe on a Friday night, but even in Gosta conversation, your friends should be able to, have you thought about this? What about upcycling something? Oh, what about this business idea? It can just be from that simple conversation. You have to wait as part of visa requirements to set up a business, so you can't have it on a student visa. But then the post-study visa is around the corner, it will come. And what if you collaborate with someone who is a home student? So all these narratives can change, but there are support systems from within the university and also outside the university that one can leverage on to set up a business. You don't have to start big, you can start small and then grow the business over time. Well, I knew one of the challenges when I spoke with some of the students is about finding the right business partner. If there is a difficulty, you start alone, and then over time you can find someone who shares the same vision with you.
I mean, I'll give you the objective answer first. You can't start a business as a student. Please do not do anything to jeopardize your visa. You can research, you can talk to people, but do not register a company because that might be a challenge that you'll have to face in the future. Now, from the perspective of starting an organization, it's like having a kid. And with anything related to having kids, I do not have any experience about that, but I have experience of raising 2 organizations, and it is going to age you. It is going to be a challenge constantly. It will be you'll constantly question, is it even my kid? But I think at the end of the day, when you see that kid doing well, that is worth the effort. The reason I'm sharing this is because there needs to be a clear why you're doing it, why you're starting an organization. Because there will be days when you'll be questioning everything. You'll be questioning why you are even involved in this organization, why are you putting so much effort when your friends who are doing a job are getting paid every month, and you're not sure when the next paycheck is going to come in. It's then the why that is going to help you go through those days. And the why could be, I want to make money, I want to be a millionaire. That's absolutely fine, but it has to be strong enough to help you go through those days. But yeah, I would encourage almost everyone to start an organization. It could be, even like a society, a small community organization, anything, but experience that, because the kind of skills that you gain building that or organizing an event, it's very difficult to get the same kind of skills in any other setting. So if anyone is thinking whether international student or home student, definitely go for it. Just make sure that you know the opportunity cost, and you know that kids can be annoying. So yeah, all the best.
I'm sorry, a really short answer to the question: why is the UK the best country to start a business? Grants. Apply for small grants, startup grants, like the bounce back loans that the government introduced. Loans are difficult for you because you have to pay back, but the UK government does provide startup grants.
Actually, I was also thinking to say the same thing as Darius mentioned. If I understand your question correctly, whether the UK is the right place, or why the UK is the right country.
Ecosystem.
Yeah. We touch on this. UK is the best democracy, the rule of law, less corruption, the equal opportunities that you will have here in the UK. We can't have similar equal opportunities in any other countries in the world except the United Kingdom. And this is a great thing that Darius touched on. Yes, applying for small grants. Anyone can apply, up to £5,000. If some of the students, they need this additional information, how to make an application for grant, please contact us. We will do some research on this, and we will send you the link for the application form. Thank you very much.
Innovation. So if you have any new ideas, new solutions, new apps, the British government is always looking for new innovative ideas.
Can I also point you to Aston Enterprise? This is what they exist in the university for. It's a free professional service you get alongside your master's course, and they do competitions as well. They can help you with your pitches. They even sponsor for you to start setting up your own business. So do take advantage of this.
They have events all year round.
Yes, and they do have events all year round. And I know, because I keep in touch with my alumni, that they have their own ideas for setting up a business one day. And someone could say that sometimes you need to work for somebody else to see what it means to run a business, to then go and set up your own business. Not everyone would have that approach. but you still learn a lot. And it doesn't mean that if you work for somebody else, you can't also set up your own business. Whether that's like Harsh, I think, is thinking of starting an interesting venture alongside his job. I know Nish is thinking in the future to start something of her own. So you know that bug can exist, and when it's the right moment, you can develop it. Are there more questions from the audience?
It's a very simple question. I was thinking, is it worth trying to put effort and trying to achieve a first-class distinction in your master's? Because it takes quite a bit of effort, right? Am I better off putting the energy somewhere else? Or like the employer care about it or not?
Yes, it's expensive. So you may as well.
But as you see, there's an opportunity cost for everything, right?
Yeah.
So it takes quite an effort. So am I better off putting that somewhere else? Or like?
I mean, I can answer this question. I got a distinction. No one ever asks that. And every moment that I get a chance, every time I get a chance to share that, I do that because I've paid so much money and I've put in so much effort, but no one cares about my distinction. So I got a distinction, just wanted to let you know.
Outside you contact that, I also want to share that.
I would say you should ask yourself that whether it's worth it or not, because I think the answer for everyone would be different. For me, it meant a lot to me that I wanted to stand a little bit above the regular crowd. So my aim was not even a distinction, my aim was like 80%. Sure, distinction starts at 70, but I wanted 80 for myself. So whether it's worth it or not, yes, it's a one-time thing. Just do it, put in the effort. It's literally 1 year that you have to really be at it. And secondly, it's not very difficult. The assignments here, the activities here at Aston especially, they're so structured that if you put 30%, 30%, 30%, 20%, do the breakup, 30, 30, 30 and 10% effort with every assignment, you're already there. You don't have to put 100% at once. You really have to divide it up. And I think making it in chunky sizes makes it easier to digest and then aim for that. But of course, like he has been talking about opportunity cost, ask yourself, if I'm not doing that, what else am I doing to make myself stand out from the crowd?
But does the employer care about it at all? Or people don't look at it?
The political answer is it depends. So I think a lot of the larger companies now, I think with a focus on diversity, essentially, a lot of them are removing degree classifications as academic requirements. But there are other programs such as law. I think there's some elements of law where you do have to have a 2-1. I personally have never been asked, like I say, I've never been asked whether I got a first class master's, which I did, by the way, just for absolute clarity. But it does go on my CV, which gets submitted as part of bids that my organisation will go for to see whether we win them. So it is on paper in terms of having to have one, the master's degree, the qualification that I've got, and also the classification. So it does go in on some things. So it depends, is the honest answer. So I suppose it's, I think to your point, it depends on how important it is to you as well.
We have one more question.
Okay, thank you so much to the panelists. I'm very poor in grabbing the names, but I have 2 questions, one for you and one for you. How about you? Could you briefly tell me about your experience in doing the PhD? And you've said that you've done master's, PhD, and then again another master's. Financially, how have you managed that? And to you, the gap that you've done your undergrad and then after some years you've done that, I can relate to that because I also did my undergrad in 2013 and now I'm here doing my master's, first master's, because I've been keep on procrastinating. I'll do this and then I got into work, I've been working, but finally. So is there any difference that you think if you could have started immediately after your degree, or now that you've had that gap, do you think it would have been different? Thank you.
Sure. I think it's very much a personal circumstance in terms of, for me, honestly, I found my undergraduate really difficult. Just found it highly stressful, was not a resilient 21-year-old, and so I was just completely burned out. And so even though I had an idea of what I wanted to do for my master's, I just could not face another assignment. So I made the decision to leave and then kind of fell into a job that I really liked, but always had in the back of my mind the notion that I did want to finish my study. I was fortunate in the sense that I worked in sales effectively, so I was then in a position during the pandemic where essentially no one was doing anything or going anywhere. So if I was going to spend my savings on something and go into hiding for a year and not be able to afford to go out, then may as well do it during the pandemic when no one's going out. So that was just a kind of unique set of circumstances that I had, but I would say, having come back to essentially a business degree, so work psychology and business, I think those 6 years that I had in essentially the corporate world were absolutely invaluable. And I spoke to students who were on my course at the time who used to come to me a lot with questions, because a lot of our assignments and the topics of discussion in seminars and things like that were based on real world problems, and a lot of them they were 21, a lot of them had never had a job, and so a lot of the concepts they just couldn't relate to. So me personally, my personal opinion is that having those years kind of operating in the real world, for lack of a better phrase, were definitely beneficial. My kind of journey just happened to fall that way, and I'm really glad it did. But yeah, I think it does depend on the personal circumstances. But yeah, I think personally for me, doing my master's degree, which as I mentioned was work psychology and business, I would definitely have found more challenging doing that straight from my undergraduate, having not worked in the kind of commercial world, because of the concepts that we were learning about that would have just felt very alien to me. Hope that helps.
Yeah. So my journey from having ME in applied linguistics and then to PhD in applied linguistics, lecturing, and then came back to HRM, it's quite interesting. Even when I think about it myself, but I owe Aston University a big thank you for all the scholarship. So I had 2 scholarships for my master's and my PhD, so that helped. And at the time, as an international student, we could also work 20 hours, so that complements my social life and also any top-ups that I need. So from both my master's and my PhD, I had scholarship from the university, so that helped financially. But then when I went back to teach in the university for 4 years. When I came out from my MSc, then I had work at the time, so I had savings to pay for my MSc, and also I came out to do MSc with more or less with informed decision, in the fact that I needed those skills to be able to upskill in the jobs that I've been doing in the university, even now within my role with my businesses. So I think stepping back, working, and then coming back to university, also from linguistics to HR, different transition, but I came in more intentionally to upskill myself. But for my MSc, I paid myself, so because business school, you have to come with intention. So financially, I managed by working, saving, and then coming to do the MSc.
Are there any more questions? I think we're
done with your master's and have to do something that doesn't really relate to what the master's is. You know, a lot of us students are still figuring out what we want to do in life, and with a business degree, what kind of other jobs are we most likely can get. Thank you.
Second question.
Do you have any advice for the people coming here with work experience? Should we target the mid-level roles, or realistically, are we all starting from scratch?
And final question.
Yeah, hi. My specific question is to Harshdeep. Yeah, so basically I am from business analytics, and since you are a business analyst, so from your point of view, what advice you would give to us, like what skills should I have like in this 1 year, since I do not have this background. I used to work as a biotechnologist, and now I'm switching here. So what skills should I have in this 1 year so that I can land up to this kind of positions?
So Akash, do we want to start with you? And then
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask, are you really interested in business analyst? If yes, you have to work on your communication skills, because of the fact that we come from India subcontinent and English is not our native language. And a British leader, they speak very clearly. They speak, and because that's their native language. So work on your communication skills and all this motivational answers, all of those things which Alex mentioned. Work on that. That really impresses the interview. And Peggy has the list of questions, a question bank she used to share with us about how to behave in a star approach, all of those things. That really matters. And I would say that have an experience of internship or something, because you have to write something on resume. Otherwise, you have to start with a junior business analyst role or a not so senior role. So work on that. And yeah, just that, follow the approach what I mentioned. That's it. There's nothing specific, to be honest.
I can't remember the name of the website, I'm really sorry, but there is a really good website which is like the Golden Skills Matrix essentially, which is what they use for all the apprentices, etc. So, I'm sure you know what it is, you can share it. But yeah, there's a really, really good website where you can literally put in, the sector, the role types, and then it will give you essentially the list of like the taxonomy of skills. And so that will be a really good one for you to kind of look through and kind of almost be able to articulate what it is you need. Have you got any transferable skills, any example that you've already got, and what gaps have you got, and what you can do to address that.
And we also share labour market reports that are very fresh, so they
Just to add one more point, there's because I've been going through so many company rejection, all of those things. So for business analysts, there's 100 questions, not more than 100. They're going to be asking in the interview, not more than 100. It's just like every project, if you've done 3 projects, every answer should be fitted on those 100 questions, not more than 100. If you want, I can share with you after this year.
Yeah. Just last quick note for that lady's questions. I'm very interested. I'm thinking for questions. Actually, that's my distinction topic. Dissertation topic. So actually, to be fair, in the UK, they do have glass ceilings. Either you deny or not, for people from different backgrounds, especially international background, it's a little bit difficult. If you don't have any UK working experience, you want to go to senior roles, it's a little bit hard. But very luckily in the UK you have lots of opportunities as well. So you can start for myself, I was a manager in China, but when I start a job in the UK I have to apply for officer roles. But when you get that experience, it's very easy to progress. But if you don't have any UK relative working experience, you don't know the culture, and you don't know how to communicate, or you don't know how to do small talk, these kind of things. It's hard, it's a little bit hard to do the manager roles, but you definitely will have a chance for that. Yeah, thank you.
You're becoming British as well.
Yeah. And then the last one about what to do. Yeah, I'll respond to that quickly. I think it's fair to feel unsure of what you want to do after your MSc. From an HR perspective, I think it should be very exploratory. Go with the flow, but start from your passion. So for instance, at the moment, maybe you might be doing something like maybe business analytics. However, you have realized maybe you are very good at TikTok content creation. Start from looking for marketing roles. Also have additional skills certificate in addition to your main degree. Whilst you can do short courses online to just tease out your interest more and then apply and see where your passion leads. So it should be very exploratory but geared towards your passion.
So I'll be a bit selfish here, take advantage of the person of the event in a way. So I have a question that's directly to Alex, but if you have any knowledge, please contribute. It's based on the conversation we had the other day, Alex. So there is this reputation that there are no jobs. Yes, the UK job market is in tatters. Yes. You worked in recruitment. You're doing a different role now, but for a recruiter. Yes. So your professional experience and the knowledge, intelligence that you get. Is this something you're seeing? And then the other panelists, in the jobs they have, from the conversations they're having, the field, is this something that reflects reality? Are we living in a time that there are less jobs, especially in this country?
I think the short answer is no. I think as the company that I work for, which is Hayes, would cease to exist if there wasn't any jobs to recruit, because they would just collapse overnight. So the short answer is no. I think yes, it is quite a difficult job market at the moment. And I was listening to a podcast literally this morning where they were predicting there's going to be another big great resignation, because a lot of people are currently job hugging in situations that they're not happy with because of the kind of wider climate. So do not quote me on that, but I did hear that this morning when I was listening. But no, I don't. Listen, I think it is difficult. I think for early careers, I think it is, it is quite competitive, and the fact that you're here and you show that level of investment in yourself to want to improve and want to learn and demonstrate that capacity to learn, as I mentioned earlier, is really important. And I think also, to your point, is I would always recommend you start with your strengths, because if you're good at something, you're going to enjoy it and be good at it. And so that's probably where I would start. I think it's similar to passions, but I would say your interests are important, but your interests are going to change so much over your career anyway. I still don't know what I want to do. So I would start with your strengths, really. Like, what are you good at, which it makes you, a more attractive option in a competitive market, because you're good at it, and therefore you're likely to outweigh other people. If you're good at it, you're going to enjoy it, and then that then gives you a stepping stone.
What about the others? Are they finding that there are less jobs in their organizations or in general? What do you think?
So we're supposed to leave at 3 because some of our member of the staff, they are fasting. But I can see, I do apologize. I'm very sorry for the volunteers, interns, and staff members. Yeah, that's fine.
So it's not possible. She said that right. It's competition is there. Competition is out there. But it's not impossible. You can still do it. And she said that work on your strength, and I totally agree with it. What I'm going to say is work on your strength and believe in a process. This is very boring talk to say believe in a process, but I would say that believe in the task you do daily for that job. Believe in those processes, eventually get it. Market is difficult, but it's not impossible. People are getting jobs. So yeah.
Yeah, in my world as a linguist, my primary day job, I think there are issues and challenges with jobs within that arena due to closure of language departments, but that is also very unique. But in relation to the broader question, someone asked whether to apply for middle or senior management role if you have previous experience. I think at the moment, one of the biggest challenges is that there might be jobs, but those jobs are not at the grade with the salary threshold that is being required for you to get your CUS. So most of the CUS roles must be middle to higher management roles, and from MSc, you might not qualify for those jobs. So I think there are jobs, but they are 23, 24K, which is not up to the sponsored threshold at the moment. I mean, I recall at the time, even after my MSc, it was the same. So the job was in front of me, but it did not meet the salary threshold for CUS. So that is the caveat, I would say.
Just wanted to, I think it depends on the sector that you operate in. So in our organization as a charity, our recruitment depends on funding. If we have money, if we have the fund, then we can employ staff. If we don't, then we can't. But in our case, we are growing. We are receiving more funding as a small charity. So I don't agree that there are less jobs in the UK.
I mean, humanity in general is going through a very interesting transition phase. Unless you're living under a rock, you know how integrated AI has become and how it has been predicted by a lot of organizations, how they see they will use AI. And because of that, there is prediction around how that is going to impact entry-level jobs. My 2 cents on that is that it's probably going to impact jobs, but it will create more jobs in a different setting. So I think the best you can do is be constantly updated in terms of what's happening in the world, how the new technology is being used, because I mean that it won't stop people from hiring people. It will just make things or processes more efficient. So, but it will always have human connection, or it will always be using humans to check. It's like assembly lines. You will have robots there, but you'll always have humans checking if the robots are doing their jobs. And that is how I think a lot of entry-level jobs are going to be transitioning as we move forward. So I would say keep up to date, upskill yourself constantly, and there are a lot of events in Birmingham, in Midlands about how to upskill yourself in AI as well. So please feel free to join them. A lot of them are free. So definitely upskill yourself in that if you see yourself applying for entry-level jobs in the near future.
Sorry, my advice is, if you want to work or find a job in a charity or an NGO, keep an eye on charities that win new contracts. So if you go on the government website, it shows you who the winning supplier is. Contact them and ask, I understand that you have secured a new contract, are you recruiting for anyone?
Excellent advice. Thank you very much. Can I ask that we thank our panel for their invaluable advice? Thank you very much for being here today. There is someone, I don't know what they want to talk about. It's about elections. They just wanted a couple of minutes. But thank you to the alumni panel. And just an announcement about the elections now that the students are here.
Thank you very much.
Check. All of you could keep sitting for like 2 more minutes.